everyone, what's up? It's Berlin. Welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are you doing? Happy Monday. As you can see, I've not got makeup and wig and everything on yet because I'm about to do a makeup review video. I've got a new palette that I want to play with here, the one from Sensorium Beauty. This is Alexis Stone's brand, if you don't know, and this is the Chapter 1 palette. I love it. On the back here it says, "We transform, not conform." So this is the palette. I'll show you it quickly now, but I am going to do a full review video with this palette because this is going to be a little drama video. But I'll just open it up here. So that is the palette. Look, you've got all these gorgeous neons, gorgeous shimmers. You've got the grey, the black, beautiful colours. So I've been really excited to try and do a kind of creative, original kind of look with this palette. But I'm going to be saving that for my next video because, like I say, I'm going to make a full review with this. And I'm going to do my base while we get into talking about the drama with Gabbie Hanna and Alx James. Because go. Shit is popping off. And yeah, my fan was backwards then. Woo, supposed to go that way. Shit's popping off with Gabbie Hanna, Alx James, and also the Gabbie Hanna stands. It's crazy. Honestly, I'm like, girl. I thought this portion of the Gabbie Hanna drama had kind of ended, but here we are again. 2 weeks ago, Alx James, who is a friend of Jessie Smiles, made a video talking about Gabbie Hanna. Now, he was talking about Gabbie Hanna's video, Jessie Smiles Must Be Stopped. He was talking about that video. So if you've been following any of Gabbie Hanna's series that she's been putting out, he made a video in response to that where he was basically kind of talking about Gabbie Hanna's character. And there was a lot in that video that was interesting. There was a lot in there about Gabbie's character and Alex's experience with Gabbie.
Three main things that I got from her little docu-series was that she just does not understand why Jessie is still friends with me, but not her. The second thing is she does not understand why she doesn't have any friends anymore. Why didn't anybody come to her rescue when Rashcom didn't want to rap battle her? And she kept shoving her phone in his face, smacked her phone out of her hand, and slammed it on the ground. Should he have slammed it on the ground? Absolutely not. And let me tell you this, Rashcom, if I was at that party, you would have been, I don't want to say no threats through the internet, so I don't want to sit back and be like, Rashcom, but I will tell you this, he wouldn't have gone far. But this happened in what, 2017? Do I need to remind y'all what was happening in 2017? That was the year I moved back to North Carolina. That was the year I found out that my entire team was stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from me. I was still adjusting to breaking up with my boyfriend 2 months prior. That was the year I finally found out what in the heck was going on with my brain. That is still on my channel. I have a couple stories about that on my channel. And that was also the year where I was a few months fresh into my spiritual journey, which I've talked about on my channel. So I can assure you the last thing on my mind was Gabbie effing Hannah's dramatic crack addict behavior. Okay? Mind y'all, her and I were already having issues. All this stuff that we're talking about right now, this was happening behind the scenes while all this stuff was taking place. And again, she won't talking to me no more. She's collabing with Shane Dawson, Colleen, Joey Graceffa. I know how Gabbie's mind works. She was able to get some subscribers from these people. Actually, a lot of subscribers from these people. You think that she's then just gonna come on over to me and constantly collab with me so I would get these subscribers? Oh, absolutely not. How dare she help anybody else's business out when she has done nothing but leech off of every single person that she's come in contact with to this very point in time. Anyways, Gabbie don't know why she don't have no more friends. So I'm gonna address that. And 3, Gabbie just does not understand. She just cannot get why nobody in the industry wants to work with her anymore. Not just talking about people, the influencers, I'm talking about brands, okay? And she has equivalated the reason, is that a word, equivalated? She has equivalated, that sounds good. The reason why the brands don't want to work with her is because the stuff that people have said about her. has absolutely nothing to do with the way she's treated people. Not just once, not just twice, and with some people, not just 3 times. Let me just say this, that girl's first 9 months in LA, she got kicked out of 3 of her friends' places. One was mine, which we'll talk about. The second one was Jesse's, and a third one was a friend that she had back home. 3 different people are having to literally kick you out of their house. Like, yo, oh, I'm gonna talk about the reason why I had to kick her up out the house.
Now, I watched the video at the time, but I didn't make a video talking about that, because at that point, I was kind of done with this whole Gabby Hanna saga, this whole drama, because honestly, I was really appalled at the way that Gabby has treated Jessie Smiles, and I'm honestly quite sick of Gabby Hanna's behaviour at this point. And I think a lot of other kind of drama channels or tea channels also have got to the point a few weeks ago where they're also getting a bit fed up of talking about Gabby Hanna's behaviour. But Gabby Hanna has been so problematic throughout that series, and also before she launched that series, she was causing drama with a lot of people like Oscar Wilde. She caused drama with Rachel Oates, who gave a criticism of one of her poetry books. She laid into drama channel Angelica Oles. So Gabby stirred up all this drama with other people online. Then she went into launching this 12 or 15 part series where she talked about people like Rice Gum. Then towards the end of the series, or what we thought was the end of the series, she made this video, Jessie Smiles must be stopped. And girl, I'm like, this situation, the whole Jessie Smiles situation, is something that I find very frustrating with Gabby, because for me, I see it from the position of Jessie Smiles. Me being someone who was R-worded when I was like, 14 the first time. I was 14 years old and I didn't tell anyone. So for me, the way that I look at this is to be Jessie Smiles, who at the time, Gabby Hanna was friends with Jessie Smiles, to be Jessie Smiles and to confide in someone who's your friend, Gabby Hanna, about Curtis Lepore and what Curtis Lepore had done to Jessie Smiles when Jessie had a head injury and was concussed, kind of blacked out. Jessie Smiles confided in Gabby Hanna about what Curtis Lepore did to her. And Gabby Hanna then went to Curtis Lepore and asked him if what Jessie had said was true. Then there was this whole phone call that was released, a 3-hour phone call between Jessie Smiles and Gabby Hanna. And it was Jessie going over the whole situation with Gabby, with Curtis, and what happened at the time. And then Gabby sort of retaliated by saying, oh, well, you know, Jessie, how come you're still friends with Alx James? And he also, you know, hung out with Curtis after the fact and all of this. Alx James has actually apologised to Jessie for hanging out with Curtis or for not fully believing Jessie Smiles. He's apologised and he's made things right with Jessie. That's something that Gabby Hanna never did. So Gabby has continued to try and defend herself for her actions against Jessie and for what she did after Jessie told her about what had happened to her. So for me now, I'm just like, as I say, for me being someone who was R-worded when I was very young, and also again when I was a little bit older, me being someone who's been in that position of having that happen to you, I'm sitting here in the shoes of, well, if I had told a friend those things that happened to me, if I'd confided in a friend over a situation like that. You know, told them my personal trauma like that. Just confided in them as a friend. And then that friend went and met up with the person who R-worded me to ask them to confirm if what I'd said was true. Can you imagine? I can. This is the thing. I can imagine it. Because I've been in that position of having that happen to me. I just feel horrible for Jessie Smiles. You know, I'm really sympathetic towards Jessie Smiles, or empathetic. I think that's probably a better word for it. Empathetic towards Jessie Smiles. Because I know what it is to be in that place with that trauma and trying to heal from that trauma. And I can just imagine how I would have felt if my so-called best friend had shat on me like that by going to the person who R-worded me and saying, oh, well, yeah, you know, they told me this. Is it true that you did this to them? Can you imagine turning around to your best friend after they've told you that, after they've confided in you, and saying, oh, well, actually, I've just hung out with your attacker just because I wanted to go and confirm if it's true or not. Like, can you even imagine doing that? I can't. It's insane. So now, Alx James has made a second video, uploaded last night, debunking Gabby Hanna's lies. And I'm just like, where does this end? You know, none of this can be good for Jessie, who's pregnant. You know, she doesn't need the stress of it or anything like that. Like, none of this is fair to Jessie. It's not fair for her to keep having her trauma blasted out in the open and talked about by people, for one. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I get all the bits here with colour corrector. It's not fair for Jessie to keep having her trauma talked about like this publicly. Yes, Jessie did release the phone call between her and Gabby, and that was all done publicly, but that was because Jessie wanted an end to it. So for Gabby to then make another video, Jessie Smiles need to be stopped. It's like, Gabby, drop it at this point, you know. Gabby, in my opinion, what she should have done, rather than making that video, Jessie Smiles needs to be stopped, Gabby should have looked at herself and reflected on her behaviour and just realised the way that she made Jessie Smiles feel in this situation. She should have tried to kind of take it on board, in my opinion. You know, think about what she said to Jessie in that phone call and think about how her actions, her behaviour has impacted Jessie and how it's kind of re-traumatised Jessie and put her through all of that again by bringing it up so publicly in the series and everything. So now what we've got happening is Alx James, since uploading that second video referring to Gabby Hanna last night, he's now started to receive hate from Gabby Hanna stans. And it's not just hate, he started to receive kind of homophobic comments coming for him because his video talking about Gabby was sponsored. Because he got a sponsor for that video, that first video that he made talking about Gabby, he got a sponsor. So now Gabby stans are coming for Alx James. If you've ever seen some of Gabby Hanna's stans on Twitter, a lot of them are very, very passionate about defending Gabby. So I'm actually going to include a screenshot here that was sent from one of Gabby Hanna's stans to Alx James' sponsor. If you actually pause and read through this message that was sent from a Gabby Hanna stan to Alx James' sponsor, you can see they've put in there about Alx James being gay. They've alleged that he's hit women and everything like this. So they're now attacking Alx James' character because he spoke about Gabby Hanna's character. So I'm just like, where is this going to end up? Like, I'm just hoping that Jessie Smiles is okay and is not being dragged all through her trauma all over again because of this, you know. But let's not forget that none of this would ever have happened if Gabby Hanna hadn't decided to make her series and publicly attack Jessie Smiles again. Also, the behaviour of the Gabby stans here is really shocking. You know, to try and come for someone's character like this in the way that they're trying to come for Alx James. Like, yeah, okay, I understand you might be a fan of Gabby Hanna, but this is taking it to extremes. Really taking it to extremes. To try and, you know, make Alx James lose sponsors because he's come out and told his side of the story of what happened with the Jessie Smiles, Gabby Hanna thing. And because he's spoken about his own personal experience with Gabby Hanna. And now Gabby's fans are all of a sudden rushing to try and make Alx James lose sponsors because he's come after their fave. But honestly, you know, look at Gabby Hanna's behaviour. Like, look at what she's done in the way that she's treated Jessie Smiles and the way that she victim blamed Jessie Smiles by not believing her about the whole incident with Curtis Lepore. You know, I understand being a fan of someone and all of that, but it's also possible to have a healthy discussion without Gabby stans resorting to threatening the people who've sponsored Alx James on his videos, without mentioning the fact that Alx James is gay and all of this, you know, without being homophobic, without threatening people. These stans of Gabby could have confronted Alx rather than trying to come for his sponsors. They could have confronted Alx himself about it on Twitter or whatever, or in his YouTube comments, rather than trying to come for his sponsors, I feel, anyway. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. I'm sorry this video has been a bit of a longer, rambly one. I did see Alx James' video 2 weeks ago, and like I say, I didn't end up making a video on that because at that point I was just so frustrated with all the Gabby Hanna drama because I was just angry at Gabby, honestly, over her treatment of Jessie Smiles. And it was getting to the point for me where it was very triggering personally because of my own personal life experiences. But today, do you know what? I felt strong enough to sit here and talk about it a little bit. So I'm going to stop this little video right here. I'm sorry that I'm at a kind of weird in-between stage with my makeup, but I am going to get to doing my Sensorium palette review. So I'm going to leave this video right here. I'm going to say take care, stay safe, stay well. Please let me know all your thoughts and opinions on the whole Gabby Hanna, Curtis Lepore, Alx James stuff. You know, honestly, my last word on this is that I do hope that Jessie Smiles isn't in a really bad place because of all of this. You know, we as drama channels sit here and talk about all of this because it's drama that happens on the internet, it's drama that happens on YouTube, and this is what we do. We talk about all this stuff. But I just hope that Jessie Smiles is doing okay. Love you guys, take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.